Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle and the entire Pacific Northwest. Listen, if you want to learn how to start, grow, or run a successful business, you've come to the right place. This is where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Weedin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Vanessa Laughlin. We're very excited about today's guest. Her name is Sarah Hurt, and she is the founder of Seattle Art Source. Sarah Hurt is an innate connector. While curating art shows in the International District of Seattle, she recognized a gap between local artists and buyers and has been working to bridge that divide ever since. Sarah's ultimate goal with Seattle Art Source is to build and sustain relationships in her community. Her hope is that she can look back over her career and see a strong record of enhancing people's lives through art. Now, when she's not in the studio, you can find Sarah loving on her 3 kids, indulging in her semi-problematic book buying habit at the Elliott Bay Books, or traveling. Or maybe she's doing all 3 of those at the same time. We'll find out today. Now, listen. Very cool. Sarah's visited over 35 countries and even lived in Switzerland for 4 years, where she learned the virtue of a full-fat dairy products. We got to learn more about that too. Sarah, welcome. We will be right with you. Everyone, you know where you can find us. We're all over the place. We're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and YouTube. You can say we are ubiquitous. Now, before we bring on Sarah, hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Dan. How are you this morning?
You know, I'm fighting my allergies a little bit because as I look outside my window, it's beautiful. I'm hearing that a heat wave is coming. That's what I saw. I'm getting all my these pop-up notifications. It's going to get warm. It's going to get hot. It's pretty out. So I'm thinking, I think we're just about ready to start summer. I'm asking you, have you started thinking about summer? I know you've got a wonderful family and lots going on all the time. What are your summer plans?
Well, right now I'm just trying to survive all the spring allergies from all those beautiful plants out there. So if I sound a little nasally today, that might be why. I swear, even the dogs, two dogs were sneezing this morning.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
something's in the air. But yeah, we get excited about summer. One of my favorite things is that it feels like the population of Seattle just quadruples. You just see
Yeah.
people out and about, they're on the water, people want to do happy hours, and we're lucky with that extended daylight. So you can almost every day almost have like a day and a half worth of fun. So I think that's generally what we're looking forward to.
Well, you know, it's funny, Vanessa. I enjoy summer too. As you know, I play a lot of golf, and it's more fun in the summer than it is in the spring, especially when it's rainy and cold and windy and it's nice out. But it feels like we were just wishing everybody a happy new year. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden it's May, and I don't know exactly what happened. But I do know what happens in summer, especially around around Seattle, is the art scene explodes.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got lots of fairs, we've got lots of exhibits, we've got lots of cool things happening, and we've got a really cool person on our show today. Sarah, I want to welcome you in. We heard all about you on your bio. Sarah Hurt is the founder of Seattle Art Source. Sarah, first of all, what are your summer plans? They probably have everything to do with art and work and all of that, but tell us how you got started in this business.
Well, thank you, Dan. I am so delighted to be here with you and Vanessa. This is such an honor. I love what you guys do. And I think that every industry, I learn something new with every episode of your podcast. So thanks for inviting me first. Yeah, summer. Summer is, I think the summers in Seattle are the thing that teases us through the winter months, and then we get to the summer and we're like, oh, this is why we live here. This is why this is so amazing. Yeah, there's so much going on in the summer. I think we try and exhaust ourselves with the sunshine, and then those first rainy days in October are kind of relieved that we get to just stay inside, right? I mean, the big keynote art event in the summer in Seattle is the Seattle Art Fair. So this is something that happens at the end of July every year. This is an international event. Paul Allen was a big driver of this. So it's kind of changed over the years, but it is this kind of maypole event, this Fulcrum Edge international art event. And then a bunch of other things start happening, kind of satellite events happen around it. So that last week of July is bonkers. It's bonkers for art in Seattle. But there's so many other things that are more kind of regular. Each neighborhood has a super engaged art walk. And I don't know if you guys, what neighborhoods you guys live in, Dan. But there is usually a like really neighborhood driven, community driven art walk in everybody's neighborhood around Seattle. And the summer is really the time where that's fun, because then it's nice, it's light, we get to wander around, kind of patronize the restaurants in our neighborhood. My work neighborhood is Georgetown. So second Saturday of every month, Georgetown Art Attack's happening, and it's a blast. It's really fun. Georgetown's a fun place to come eat and drink, but it is also really a blast for art.
Wonderful, Sarah. I have a question for you. So I am in North Seattle in the U District. Do you have any favorite locations or favorite events up here, up north, for those of us who are local listeners?
You know, I think for more northern side, Ballard's got a super solid art walk. And I think there are a few good ways to keep track of what is going on. What kind of, if you want to be engaged in your local art scene, you could get in that micro neighborhood and find out where the, like, it used to be like Yahoo pages or like, you know, advertising,
Yeah.
like those little neighborhood listservs. But
Yeah.
Instagram's gonna, if you follow on Instagram what the retailers are doing, if they're open for an art walk, and like Greenwood has one, that's a great way to get plugged into your local neighborhood, find out which places are open kind of late on that first Thursday or second Thursday or whatever date they've decided, and then just to kind of get out and give those people some love.
Well, you've inspired me. I'm going to talk to my husband later and see if we can get the kids excited, and just being outside with art.
It's
just,
family friendly. It's a fun way to wander around. You get to see people, and you know, it's especially now that the weather's nice. Everybody just is drawn to being outside.
Yeah. Outside, outdoors, art. What more could you want, right?
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I'm in Paulsbo, so I'm gonna have, but my daughter lives in Seattle, so we'll make a trek over there to do that. You know, as you were talking about Instagram, it dawned on me how much social media must impact what is a very visual industry in art. I mean, we didn't have that 30 years ago, right? People would be doing. How important is it for artists and for, you know, the art walks and all of the events, how important is it for them to be really good on social media to get people to see their work?
I think it's integral. I think if you're not using those tools, you're doing yourself a disservice. They're really tools. And Instagram's incredibly powerful for Seattle Art Source. We have a really robust marketing plan that is about who sees what when. We've kind of added reels and content in the last couple of years. And, you know, frankly, I'm too old to be doing this. I'm almost 50. So it's like, it's a tool for my business. If I didn't have to put my face on Instagram, I would be really fine with that too. But if you are in an artistic industry of any kind, it can really be powerful to spread the word, because that's where everybody is. So if we're wanting to provide information, we're wanting to share a story, you got to go where the people are. And the people are on Instagram, the people that are looking at art. At least for my industry, it's really easy to kind of, when you start looking, just to scroll through and one thing leads to another. And then, like Vanessa was asking, you're connected to a community in the neighborhood that's close to home, and that you can start with that. But yeah, Instagram's incredibly powerful for my business and my whole industry at large.
Well, that's just wonderful. And, you know, some of us aren't online, but, you know, sometimes too, we can still find ways to connect. Like to your point, that's where the in-person, I think, really brings it all together. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's
now that we are hosting as many events as possible in our physical space in Georgetown. Most of the artists I work with are local, which has so many advantages. So one of the advantages is that we get to host artist talks and have events where you get to come and meet the artists who are making the art that you love. And I think there's something really impactful about talking to the artists themselves about what they're creating. It helps us understand what we're looking at a little bit more. And I think it also adds to an emotional connection, and it adds to the story and the inspiration behind the art. I, as the art broker, can communicate with you and tell you what I know and understand about the art. And sometimes having that kind of distance allows the client to really feel like, oh, I don't really like this, and I don't know if I could say this in front of the artist. That's fine. There's a place for that. But if there is somebody that you are intrigued by, and there's artists that you're like, oh, I'd like to see more of that. Sometimes that last 10% or last 20% of really connecting with a piece of art is getting to talk to the artist.
Gosh, I love that. I can only imagine those moments in conversation, even for, let's say, a guest of one of your events, just seeing the conversation between another guest and the artist, where the art itself shifts or changes in someone's perspective because they learn maybe the backstory or general inspiration or something about that artist's life that led to what they're creating. So I can only imagine that those are some pretty thrilling conversations and
Yeah.
experiences in your Georgetown location.
Totally. So this Saturday on the 11th, I'm hosting Seth Sexton and Nancy Mintz, two artists who have so much academia and knowledge and histrionics behind their art. And getting to talk to those two individuals, I think, is super powerful because they understand, they have a vision for the scope of where they sit in art and history, and that river of all the creative people that have been making art since the beginning of time, right? We all find a place as an artist, we all find a place in that river, in that timeline. And Seth and Nancy both do a really fabulous job of articulating how important that is and where the inspiration for their art comes from.
So I've got a question for you about inspiration, Sarah. What inspired you to even do what you're doing now? I mean, what was I'm always interested in the genesis story of entrepreneurs. What's yours?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love telling my story. Because I feel like if I'm doing this, you can do whatever it is you're dreaming up. I mean, honestly, I started the business about 8 years ago, and actually the formation of the business took about 18 months for me to really kind of work through what it is that I wanted to do. Because I kind of made up this job for myself, Dan. It's the great American story. We just stumble forward, building the boat as we sail it in so many ways. But about 8 years ago, I was in a work transition where I had something was ending and I needed to decide what was next, and needed to really sit down and have a come to Jesus, kind of like, what do you want to do? Are you passionate about? What are the barriers? To take some time to proceed thoughtfully. I think Vanessa can attest to this, but a lot of times as competent individuals, we meet the need without really deciding, is this something we're passionate about, right? We are all adults. We all have to pay the bills. If we need to just go out and get a job, we can do that. But I had this window that I wanted to take advantage of, say, like, what is it? What do I want to build? And I really wanted to work for myself. I think that I had been really putting a lot of love, heart, and energy into other people's visions. And I really wanted to benefit from my own hard work in a lot of ways, if that makes sense. And I had been running King Street Makers Market, which is a pop-up Christmas market, for about 3 years. So I had some interaction and some relationship with the maker community already in Seattle. That enterprise went on for 10 wonderful years. And that was kind of the precursor to what I'm doing now, where my brother-in-law was making furniture and had a furniture showroom in a old Chinese restaurant on King Street in the International District. And it had been left abandoned for 8 years. They went in, they needed a wood shop. They built this place out, and we had this funky, wonderful space and a funky, wonderful community down there. And the walls were empty. He's like, Sarah, this place needs something on the walls. You want to do like an art show or rotating art exhibit or whatever. And, I was like, okay, sure, let's try that. Let's see how that goes. So I was doing that for a couple years, and in the process of that, meeting artists and then also meeting designers who would come in and buy furniture for my brother, be like, how do we connect these two groups of people? The designers have lots of projects, and all their projects have lots of walls, and local artists needed to find a cohesive, organized portal, basically, to feed all of the projects that the designers had. And so, through lots of conversations and just being kind of obnoxious, calling designers, being like, how does this work? Where do you find art? Would you buy art for me if I made it super easy and I delivered it and I had a website? And so a lot of pluck and zero ability to get embarrassed served me very well. And I developed Seattle Art Source. And so I started with about 10 artists and about 10 designers, built a little Squarespace website for myself, and started the process of growing those two bases of clients, the artist clients and designer clients.
That's amazing.
That's kind of the genesis.
So I have a kind of a yes or no question for you before we head to the break. Could I refer to you to other people that I'm going to connect you with in the future as an unapologetic connector? Because the way you're telling this story is just inspiring to me as someone who strives to make meaningful introductions. But how does that title, unapologetic connector in chief? How about that?
Was this a yes and no question? Yes or no
is that
question?
fair? Is that fair?
That's fair. Unapologetic connector. I think it's innate in some of us, and we just, it pours out of us in the best possible way, hopefully.
Well, you're very good at it.
Thanks.
I love that. I love that unapologetic connector. I like that. Well, I also like having to pay the bills, or I guess I kind of like having to pay the bills. In this case, we're going to hear from one of our fabulous sponsors. In fact, it's today's spotlight sponsor. And when we come back with our guest, Sarah Hurt, for our Hot or Not section of the show, we're going to find out about being an entrepreneur and a busy mom at the same time. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and sometimes we could all use a helping hand to navigate through the challenges. That's where Bannister Advisors comes in. Bannister is not your typical professional services firm. They're your go-to support system when facing life's most overwhelming circumstances, whether it's a health crisis, a sensitive elder care situation, making end-of-life decisions, getting the support you need during bereavement, or taking care of complex estate settlements. The team of navigators at Bannister will guide you through it all. What sets Bannister apart is their project-based case management approach that provides stabilizing and effective client experiences. They tailor solutions to your unique concerns, ensuring a discreet, efficient, and appropriate experience no matter what challenges you might be facing. Bannister maintains an extensive network and collaborates with world-class partners, delivering outcomes for clients through a compassionate, team-based approach. With headquarters in the Pacific Northwest, they serve individual, family, and enterprise clients worldwide through remote, in-person, and hybrid models. So if life has thrown you a curveball and you're feeling overwhelmed, reach out to Bannister Advisors, because at Bannister, they don't just manage challenges, they help you navigate life's complexities in the most graceful way possible, mitigating risks and minimizing future regret.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Vanessa Laughlin. Our guest today is Sarah Hurt for our next segment, Hot or Not.
And Sarah, I know you've listened. I know you've watched. I know you know what hot or not is. We're going to pepper you with questions about business, about life. I'm going to blend those two. I'm going to give you a softball. I'm going to give you a really easy one out of the gate. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe I'll be surprised. Hot or not, running a business while being a busy mom?
Very hot. It's the best.
Yeah, but there's got to be some nuance to that though, right?
Sure. I mean, for sure. I have to say, I have 3 teenagers, 19, 18, and 14. They are the loves of my life. I love these kids so much. They're amazing. They are watching their mom build something and work hard and create a path, and they get to witness that. So our kids are always watching us. This is not always a wonderful thing, right? They see everything. But what I get to outline for my kids is there's a different path for everybody. This was my chapter 2. I started the business when I was 40. So they're making decisions about college. They're making decisions about their career. They're making, they're starting that exploration process that we all get to do when we enter into our 20s and late teens. And my admonition to them is like, go out, explore. I love travel. I'm encouraging my kids to travel. I think it's a wonderful way to learn about yourself and the world around you. But just because you go to college for XYZ doesn't mean that's the only thing you're going to do your whole life. And they happen to have aunties and uncles who are all entrepreneurs. We're all kind of doing something that's very soul satisfying and that we kind of is unorthodox. And my kids get the benefit of having those adults in their life surrounding them, communicating that kind of hope and possibility to them.
Well, that is wonderful and just continually inspiring, as all the conversation has been so far in today's session. So my question for you, hot or not, art in being the value of art being the eye of the beholder, hot or not?
Oh yeah. Somehow I knew this question was coming. What is good art? What is bad art? Can we put can we put those moral titles on art? The short answer is no. You get to decide what you like. Is it important art or not? That question's only answered by time. So we see what lasts, just like anything else. This is why it's called classical music, because it happened to survive for 400 years. It's a classic. Some art will prevail because for whatever reason, it has merit. There's something about it that's important for the stage of time that it is developed in history. And so there's some surviving durable art that just passed the test of time. Do we always predict what that is? Well, no. Do artists in the day that they're living know whether they're doing something important or not? Not a lot. Pollock was trading his paintings for 6-packs of beer. He didn't know. So if my suggestion always to clients who are purchasing art, is it good? I like this, if you like it and you want to live with it and it brings you joy and it moves you, and then that's all you really need to know. Those are the qualifiers you get to ask yourself. I love introducing first-time art buyers to art, because I feel like we're doing this thing where we're starting to develop someone's palette around it. Even if you've never purchased art before, that first piece that you put in your home that feels like a real art, right? Somebody actually made this thing. starts to change your perspective on how you look at the world around you. And then you start to see art everywhere you go, and you start to be more interested, and you start to be more vested into who's making art, who you like, who you want to collect. Just like a palette for someone who's drinking wine for the first time, you know, doesn't mean you can't like a certain varietal. That just happens to be your varietal. And there are better or worse versions of that varietal, but it's like that beginning stages of starting to develop your palette so that you get to understand what it is you like and what moves you in art.
All right, so since we've moved into wine, I'm gonna change we're gonna move away from art for a second. You lived in Switzerland for 4 years. I had at one time 20 years ago an exchange student living with us from Switzerland, and he said that the cheese that was called Swiss cheese here was just American cheese with holes in it. So I want to hear from you, hot or not, American version of Swiss cheese.
Not hot.
Tell us
No.
No hesitation. I love that.
No, not hot. We do some cheeses great, but dude, the cheese in Switzerland, you can't, I mean, stop. Mic drop, can't even compare. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. They only have, I'm gonna get the number wrong, but they only have like 7 official cheeses in Switzerland. It's so hard to get your cheese approved to be an actual cheese in Switzerland that it's like this, you know, Costa Nostra kind of clamp down on, but that's why their cheese is so good, is because they dedicate all their cows and all that wonderful milk to making the best product in the world. And you only need 7 of them, right? If you're going to be excellent at it, why make a million different kinds? But
it's its own art form. Is that what you're telling me? The cheese in Switzerland is its own art form.
Totally. It starts with those hills covered with the flowers and the grass that the cows eat, and it makes the cheese taste all nutty and like sunshine. It's the best.
You're making me hungry, Sarah.
Yeah. I never say no to cheese. It's my one weak link, the only one.
That's a pretty good vice. It's a pretty good vice to have. I would say I would be proud of that. Some of us have much less healthy vices to that point.
Right. Well, so a beautiful Swiss cheese with a beautiful Swiss wine, it's like hard to beat, man. That's heaven.
Well, I've got a bit of a softball for you as we wrap up before the next break. Hot or not, books.
Oh, I have an issue. I have moved books all over the world. I have a very hard time saying no to them. They feel like friends, but in the uprise of these little like book sharing houses, I love those things because I feel like I'm not getting rid of a book. I'm sharing it with someone else that's going to enjoy it. So
unapologetically connecting people to books then also.
There you go. On brand. So the I have a rule, my books can only get too deep on the bookshelf, and next to my bed I can only have 1 pile of books, and it has to be stable enough that it's not going to topple over and be a death hazard if I'm getting out of my bed. Only rules I have about books. Other than that, you know.
So tell me about, I'm curious, do you try all platforms? Can you do audiobooks? Do you do electronic books? Obviously you have the hardcover. Do you have genres that you like better? Or are you just read all, do you have a favorite?
I kind of, I have the reading and drinking habits of an 80-year-old man. I love an old-fashioned and a good World War II battle.
All right. I like
tear
that.
down. So you want to talk about, the British invasion, you want whatever it is. I like a Kindle, especially when, when I'm falling asleep in bed, I've got my Kindle, it does less damage to my face. I'm just like, hardbound, all of it, audiobooks for sure, in the car, totally. Yeah. So I use the library system a lot. Seattle Public Library System, chef's kiss. They've got an awesome capacity for lending through Libby. Highly recommend.
So I've got another follow-up question. when it comes to art and books, art books, hot or not? Tell us more about
hot.
your perspective on art books.
Oh, super hot. Yeah. If you had to choose, we all love to spend money in different ways, Dan. We all indulge in different ways, Vanessa. You both know this. My capacity to spend money on books is unparalleled, but you put me in front of a beautiful art book. I'm actually waiting for the new edition of the Brian Paquette designer book. He's bringing it to me on Monday. I can't wait. He's a local designer that works with this amazing photographer, Harris Kenjar. They produce beautiful, beautiful books of interiors and art. I'm very excited about this. That's coming Monday.
Are you saying you're getting a hand-delivered copy?
Yes, I am. I emailed him. I was joking. I'm like, where can I buy this? Can I buy this book from you? I know him, so I'd rather give him the money for it. He's like, I can't sell. I just got his box to give them away, but you could buy them anywhere where books are sold. But he's coming on Monday to pick some art up. I'm doing him a favor by giving him a bunch of art to rent for a photo shoot, and he's going to hand deliver the book for me. So it's a win-win.
Get that signed.
Yes. Yes.
So Sarah, I'm going to get controversial. I mean, very controversial. So I'm bringing this out of the Plead the Fifth. So you have to answer it. You don't get to plead the fifth. But I'm going to get controversial. My wife and I have different opinions on this. So I'm going to see where you fall on it as the expert. Hot or not, the gum wall in Seattle.
Oh, they just cleaned it, and then all the gum came back.
So for people who might not be listening, there is a wall in Pioneer Square or Pike Street Market that has traditionally been full of gum. People put their gum there. I think it's artistic. My wife thinks it's disgusting. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is it art? What do you think about the gum wall?
No, it is
not art.
Nope, not hot. No, it is
no hesitation in your answer.
Biohazard. It is a biohazard. It's a fascination. It is a Instagram backdrop, but not art.
Oh, okay.
Your wife has been vindicated.
Eye of the beholder, right? Yeah.
Oh, am I on the wrong side of this argument, Dan?
Oh yeah, no, I like the gum wall. My wife won't go near it. So there you go.
Yeah, it's like walking through a whole like esophagus of germs down that alley. You're just like, ooh, don't touch the sides. Ugh.
See, I knew this would be controversial. So Vanessa,
it's not controversial. I'm right.
All I know is if we walk past it with our kids, we say, don't touch that.
Yes. I love Pikes Market. I can walk there from my house. I am so close. Love it. That gum wall, it's creepy.
Yeah, we need an alternative to the gum wall. Let's brainstorm that the next time we spend some time together.
And I'm going to get flagged for this. I know it's iconic. I know people love it. I'm in the minority, I'm sure, on this opinion.
Maybe we give people pieces of Play-Doh or something to do instead. It's not a public safety risk in the name of art.
In the name of art, yeah. And I was down there one morning really early on the weekend once, and they had the power washers. They're like washing it, scrubbing it. So I think that they get rid of all the gum periodically, and then people just put it back, like come and start putting it back.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible phenomenon, and it is many things all at once.
Whatever brings the tourist to Seattle to shop at the Pikes Market and patronize those beautiful restaurants down there and spend their money in our city, go for it. If the gum wall helps with that, then awesome.
Wonderful. So my last question for you then is, I'm going to actually just jump into a straight question, and as we transition out of hot or not, if not the gum wall, what is your favorite work of art in downtown Seattle for those visiting, if they want a gum wall alternative?
Right, if you want a gum wall alternative. Oh, where do I start? There's so many. I love the sculpture garden. I don't know if you guys have been there recently.
Oh yeah,
sculpture garden
with the view and the events they have
I love
down
that
there.
place. They did such a good job. It is so destination worthy. It's great to bring a picnic or do the walk along Elliott Bay. Enjoy the a sculpture garden as you start and finish your walk. I think it's beautiful. I love it. And outdoor sculpture, we really have, you know, a long tradition of fostering public art in Seattle. And I think the Olympic Sculpture Garden's got to be at the top of my list.
That's great. Anyone again out there seeking a gum wall alternative, safe, beautiful, right on the waterfront, right by downtown.
This would be a like different, better scenario.
Got it. Love it. It's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect spot to take our second short break. We're going to take that break to hear from our corporate sponsors. When we come back with our guest, Sarah Hurt, for our Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to find out if she could do another business based on something. What would it be? She'll let us know, and you'll find out then. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, and Port Ludlow Resort. Please visit our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm co-host Vanessa Laughlin. Our guest today is Sarah Hurt for our next segment, Plead the Fifth.
So Sarah, you know this is where Vanessa and I are going to turn up the heat a little bit. You can plead the fifth, but you can only plead the fifth once. So be careful on how you do that. I'm interested now, especially hearing some of your other things that you like in life. I know you love what you're doing, but let's just say you had a next chapter and we forced you to start a business based on a hobby. What would that hobby be?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I wish I could answer this. I'd love to figure out what that second stream of revenue is going to be.
No, this doesn't. So we don't care about revenue. We don't care. We just want to know, what is a hobby you would say, I could, learn as you grow. It doesn't even matter how much you make. I want to know the hobby that you would start a business.
I think if I could do a fantasy job next to my already current fantasy job, okay, I would travel around and review restaurants and wine.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Like it.
I get to bring a buddy with me. We go sneak into little holes in the walls and eat food and share our findings with the world.
Nice. I like it.
If you got a dream, you might as well dream big.
I like it.
That's great. So now for my first Plead the Fifth question. Oh, I love this one. What is your reaction, Sarah, to the word impossible? Can't be done.
Can't be done. I don't use that word. That word's not really common in my vocabulary. I don't believe it too. I don't think that many things are impossible. I think there are some things that are hard, but impossible, that's a bold statement. I would say that word doesn't get used very often in our household or for myself.
So, as entrepreneurs, we all struggle at times with something, whether it's imposter syndrome or fears or different things like that. We all do. We can sometimes be our own worst critic. Share with us something that you, even today, may still struggle with as an entrepreneur.
Oh, man. Great question, Dan. Vanessa and I we have been sharing about this. It's current topics here. Very
relevant, Dan.
Yeah,
question.
super. There is a growth trajectory. If you are going to run the business, you have to learn how to run the business outside of the function of what you started at. This is running Seattle Art Source now at 8 years requires a completely different set of acumen business-wise than it did in the beginning. I mean, I can talk about art, I can sell you art, I can find it. Those skills are different than running a business. What's my cash flow like? How do I judge my profit margin? What's my rate scale like? Am I raising it appropriately? Making strategic decisions about the growth of the business that I'm really not going to see the fruit of for another 2 years. So growing as a business owner is a separate endeavor than starting the business. Right. I also think, I'm working in an industry, art has a lot of skilled, knowledgeable people in it. I did not go to school for this. One of the criteria for me starting this business is that I couldn't go back to school. I wasn't at a point where I could afford to or had the time to go get a degree on this. And so the skills that I use to run Seattle Art Source are very much from, the 25 years of work history that I had before, and the experience. All of that came to feed into my ability to run Seattle Art Source. But there is imposter syndrome for sure. People have a lot of degrees in this field. People go work in very knowledgeable, high-ranking galleries and, studied there for decades to do a job that I'm rubbing shoulders with. And so it was important for me to get to the place where I really could feel like I have authority because I'm actually doing it. I have to believe that, not because I have a degree or I worked for this gallery or that gallery before. And what I sincerely hope that does is it gives other people permission to do things that they don't feel qualified for. And that just kind of let's lower that barrier of intimidation if we want to try something new.
I love that. What I hear in what you're saying, just one word comes to mind: freedom. You got to be free to go after what you want. And I think for the three of us as entrepreneurs and the focus of this podcast and the listeners, that freedom to just go for it is awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Well, I have another question for you, and it might be fun to answer, so I hope you don't plead the fifth. What do you like but also dislike the most about the world of art today, your industry?
I can't plead the fifth on this one.
I know, right? I just feel like, be as diplomatic or undiplomatic as you like, but feel free. I really want to know what you think, and I think our listeners do too.
Okay. One thing I like, and I think because of technology and where we are on that arc of development, artists are getting more control over their own careers. And the way that I developed Seattle Art Source in the beginning was to come alongside and be a supportive place for artists to sell their work. So they're going to get a larger percentage from art that I sell than from like a normal gallery. They also get to work with whoever they want to work with. So if you've got an artist that's really savvy about running their art business as a business, great. I'm going to be another tool in their toolbox to help them reach new clients and sell their work. It used to be the model where there was so much exclusivity and just this veil around clients and who to get in front of and the collectors and a lot of obscurity. And that wasn't really always great for the artists. So now artists are at a place where they can run their own websites. They've got their Instagram feeds. They can work with brokers and advisors like myself and galleries and have representation. It's not this marriage. Like they were wedded, a gallerist and an artist were wedded together for a career, which was good for some and not good for a lot. So that has changed. And I really want I want to empower the artists I work with to, be successful, sell their work, help them sell their work, and also equip them to do that for themselves as well. So that's something I'm seeing that grow and change in the industry right now, which is awesome.
So my final question really kind of revolves around what you just said. And I'm curious, I'm sure you've seen a lot of change in the industry in your 8 years. What does the future of art look like? We all know art is going to continue. It always has, it always will. But how's it going to change? What if you opened up your crystal ball? How is the industry of art going to change over the next 10 years?
That is a great question. I wish I knew the answer to it, actually. But I think one of the things that is required of anybody in this industry and most creative industries, you have to be nimble. You can't think that just because it worked this way for the last 10 years or 20 years, that it will work in the next 10 or 20 years. So I think as being a business in a creative industry, I have to be flexible. I have to be nimble. I have to be willing to try new things. People are buying art differently. I have certainly experienced this over 8 years. People are buying art differently. We now, Seattle Art Source, you can buy all of our art online. This is not something that was really common when I first started this. I couldn't believe that somebody would buy a painting without ever seeing it. And yet there's a whole industry. There's all people all over the country that we ship art to that haven't seen the art in person yet. And so that comfort with buying things online has completely disrupted the art buying industry in a really potentially positive way. If you are flexible with your business plan, if you are nimble with how you respond to market changes, you'll be fine. But if you are, unwilling to change the way that you do business, it is going to be really painful.
Well, I just want to keep talking to you, and I'm kind of bummed that I have to ask the last question before we head towards wrapping stuff up. But you work so hard, Sarah. You're a mom of 3 teenagers. You run this incredible business that you're literally innovating and creating every day. So I have to ask you, when you have the opportunity to take it easy, maybe take a treat yourself day, what would that look like from the beginning, in the middle, and how would your day end? Let's just say Dan and I are gonna, sponsor you.
Right.
Money is no object. Well, how would you use our gift to you?
What a tease, Vanessa. Okay, so first thing I would do, I don't set an alarm anymore. I kind of, don't need that. Apparently my body likes to be awake at 4 o'clock no matter what. So, so one of the things I would do if I had a day off just to relax is I would bring my coffee back to bed, and I would sit in bed and read and do my Wordle, and then all my New York Times headlines, kind of scroll through those, take my time. I would probably then have lunch with a friend. One of my favorite, okay, this is it. Now I know. Okay, one of my favorite things to do if I have an afternoon or a day free is to walk to the Sam from my apartment and then meet a friend for lunch at Le Pichet. I mean,
all right. So Sam, for those who don't know, Seattle Art Museum, Le Pichet, an amazing French restaurant downtown Seattle.
Yeah. So take an hour to look at whatever the new exhibit is, walk over to Pichet, have some of their French onion soup or whatever is on the menu, and a couple glasses of bubbles at lunchtime. That would be a dream. If I could work a massage into the back end of that lunch, then I could die a happy woman.
Well, I hear the Four Seasons has a pretty great spa, so you wouldn't have to go very far, right?
Vanessa, you are such a tease. Oh my gosh.
After this, we'll book it, okay? I'll be that friend that'll join you.
Yes, well, you Sarah, also deserve a massage at the Four Seasons, dear.
I am not going to disagree. You know what, Sarah? Mother's Day is coming up, so I think we can make that a real plan.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, again, I don't want to wrap up, but I just want to thank you so much for being our guest here on the Shrimp Tank. So for our listeners who I think are going to be very excited to reach out and connect with you and your amazing new website, it's so great. I am going to check it out right after this yet again. So for our listeners that want to get in touch with you or learn more about your company, Seattle Art Source, how can they get more information?
Great question, Vanessa. Thank you for asking. Our website, there is a little window where you can sign up for our newsletter. We send out one a month. We don't want to deluge your inboxes. This is a great way to keep on what events we're hosting. The Artist Talk on Saturday, of course, is going to be one of the topics that would have been in that newsletter. New art that's coming out. We just want to show people what's fresh, what's new, what's coming. It's a lot of beautiful pictures and very few words. That's the newsletter. Instagram, every single day we post something new. we're really active on there, and I read the DMs. I don't know if I should say that out loud, but if you want to message us about something specific, you can slide into my DM. That's
straight to the
yes.
owner. I love it.
Yeah.
People, that's okay. That's something I don't think you should hide. I think that's genuine. And again, it's all about the unapologetic connecting, right?
Yeah. And I love that part of my business. I love answering the questions. I want people to feel engaged. And it's a very personal, high touch business. It's me and my little team, and you get to come straight to the source.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Well, Dan, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Nope, I'm ready to go
Probably
after
thanks.
you do your part.
Perfect. Well, just want to say, make sure that you check out, everyone listening, all the replays on shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcast, whether that's iHeart, Apple, Google, Spotify, or any of the others. Please follow us as well on the show's social media pages on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Thank you, Vanessa. And Sarah, thank you. I had a great time. Thanks, Vanessa, for introducing Sarah to us. This has been a lot of fun. I bet you're going to have a fantastic summer season of art. And my wife and I will have to find a way to make over there and catch some of that. And yeah, everybody get on the newsletter. And now you've been given permission to DM Sarah directly. There you go. So anyway, thanks to you and Vanessa. I will see you next month. Everybody else, our next show will be on Wednesday, May 15th. Do exactly what Vanessa said. Follow us on all our social media so you can keep track of that. Our guest will be Michael-Ann Valterra, and my co-host for this week, or that week, will be Monica Blackwood. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and be prosperous, because until next week, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small